Hello and welcome to my first video lecture. Today I'm going to talk about Capital Structure Puzzle, which is a paper written by Stuart C. Myers in 1983 and published in 1984. Little piece of trivia, Myers was the president of the American Finance Association in 1983. So, um, I'm going to start by giving you the agenda for the next following videos. I'm not going to be able to make one video, so I decided to subdivide my lecture into several little videos. This first video is going to talk about the research question, the main result, and give a brief, concise summary of what I'm going to talk about and what the paper talks about. In the later videos, we're going to go get nitty gritty in the details, and I'm going to discuss with you the theory and the method which Myers uses, explains, and develops. And I'm going to talk about the 5 facts and 3 observations which he draws. In one final video, or however it's going to play out, I'm going to talk about the contribution this paper has brought to the corporate finance literature. All right, research question. So, we know quite a bit about dividends, but we do not know much about capital structure. Finance theories up until now did not explain financing behavior as much as we would have liked them to. How can we ever be confident in the advice we give to managers if we can't explain this behavior? So, this is pretty much what was going on through Myers's head when he wrote this paper. We know this because of the quotes you see on the screen right now. This is what uh, how Myers motivates his paper. And so the research question ultimately is like, what are some of the new logical directions for current financial research? So to better further the literature into something concise and finally understand capital structure. So the main result, he basically says, okay, there's these 2 theories which have been dominating the literature. These are static trade-off and pecking order. Static trade-off theory doesn't really work that well, he thinks. He says it works to some extent, but it has an unacceptably low R squared, and actual debt ratios vary much more across what we thought were similar firms. Now, R squared, for those of you who don't know, is a measure of goodness of fit in a model. Uh, it's beyond the scope of video to discuss it, but let's move on. Modified pecking order theory, rather, is what Myers thinks is happening. So, pecking order theory, as a reminder, is the preference. It's essentially a theory which says firms prefer internal financing to external financing. And what that means is that they will use cash they have internally generated somehow before they ever issue debt or stock. But if they do, if they must rely on external financing, they would rather leverage debt before they issue stock. Now, Myers goes on to define another theory later, which I'm going to explain in the video, which is eventually what is going to make sense for this paper. All right. So, in summary, this paper is ultimately a one-to-one heavyweight championship between the stories of static trade-off and pecking order. In discussing these 2 theories, I decided to subdivide the Myers discussion into 3 problems and 3 propositions. Now, he doesn't mention these so explicitly in the paper, as I will, but I think this is what we can get from the story. He also includes an extra section, which I'm going to talk about with the contribution, perhaps. He calls this What We Know About Corporate Financing Behavior, which is divided into 5 facts and 3 observations. All right, stay tuned for the next video, in which I'm going to talk about the theories and the method.